Good people, welcome to our part 2 of creating a custom email marketing system. So in this part, we are going to create or install our SMTP server. And in this context, we are installing PowerMTA. So in my previous part 1, I introduced to you what an SMTP server is, and we said it's the engine that pushes out the emails. So I'm not gonna dig deep into that. I recommend that you check out our video for part 1. We also installed CyberPanel in our part 1. Today we are going to install PowerMTA. It's quite simple. It's quite straightforward. Remember, we also said for you to have a full system, you need a mailer and you need an SMTP server. Today we are going to learn how to create an SMTP server. So I'm going to pick my IP here. Then I'm going to go to Putty. And just a quick reminder, these are the results that you get when you install our CyberPanel. Here are the credentials. So, and it took 20 minutes to install the CyberPanel. You may want to refer to the part 1 of this series so that you can see the command to run to install CyberPanel. So I'm going to close this, open it again, copy the IP, here's my IP address, I'm gonna copy it there, open, login as root, put in the password, there you go. If you come to the notes here, I've noted that in case you receive your credentials, there are some VPS providers that do not set credentials as with root username. So in case you receive such credentials, these are the commands to run. But because we received our credentials with root username, we will go ahead to this process. So we are saying install the PowerMTA file in WinsCP. After you've acquired the PowerMTA file, this is the WinsCP here. Again, I'm going to log in. I need to put in the IP there. Username is root. Then this is the password. I can save this one so that I don't have to keep on. It is not recommended, but I don't want to keep on logging into this one. So let me give it a name. Then I'm going to log in. I'm gonna say yes. Reconnect. So you come to, I've already downloaded my PowerMTA. So here it is, I'm going to open it. And I'm going to install this RPM file in the root. So need to open it, drag and drop. It's gonna take a few seconds. So we're going to wait for that. After that happens, we are going to resume the process. So our process is just about to get finished. And then after it has finished, we are going to go to the next step here, which is after you install the PowerMTA file in WinsCP, we are going to run this command in Putty. So we're going to copy these our IP, open Putty, login. Yes, and our process has already completed. You're gonna come here, and we run this command. There you go. It takes a few seconds and that is complete. And then we're going to jump into the next one. The next item on the line is you need to go to WinsCP, then go to etc PMTA, and then you add the license. So we go to WinsCP, we go to etc, then we go to PMTA. Here it is, and then we add the license. There you go. So we already added our license there. We check what is the other item. You go to USR and then SBin, and there'll be two files there, and then we drop them in WinsCP. So you're gonna come here, you check USR, and then SBin. It's gonna take a few seconds to load all the files. There you go. And then we come to PMTA, our PMTA file, USR SBin, and then drop, drag and drop. Overwrite, you say yes. Again, it's gonna take a few seconds to upload that file. And then after that, that file has been uploaded, we're gonna jump into the second file, and also it will take a few seconds as well. So it's worth noting that we do have different SMTPs, and PowerMTA is one of the best in the market. But then again, it can be a little bit expensive to get it. But if one can, it is one of the best in the market. We also have others that are open source that one can use to do this process as well. So the first file is complete 100%. So we're gonna go to the second file. It's gonna take a few microseconds to load that. Done. We go to the second one. you drag, drop, again you overwrite, you say yes. This also is going to take a few more seconds. Once it's done, we are going to look at what is the next item on our script. As that process continues, the next areas that we're going to cover is we're going to go to the config file. The config file is where we're going to make a few amendments, and then these amendments are noted here. I'll provide the content for the config file in the description separately because that is what you're gonna use to copy and paste in the config file. So the process is almost complete. It's 100%. So where do we move on next? Right. Takes a few microseconds to load that. If we go to our script, it's done. Then we go to the config file. So where do you find the config file? You go to etc, then PMTA, here you go, config file. Here it is. You're gonna delete this content, and you're going to replace that content with this content here. I'm gonna provide this document, copy and paste. So in our document, there are several places we're going to change. 3 places we change the IP, and 4 places we change the domain. So if you come to the config file, open that. This is the IP. The places is going to replace the IP. So let me pick the IP. So I've noted that it's 3 places that you change the IP. You copy that. You copy that again. And this is the LAD. Then you save. For our domain, you're supposed to change 4 places. So here is the domain that I'm using. It's premised in Namecheap. Sure why my Namecheap is saying. Let me try signing in again. There you go. This is a domain that I want to use. So I'm going to come to advanced DNS. Number 1, I'm going to add all the records. Even before I add the records, let me add this domain to our config file. So As I have noted, there are 4 places I need to change. I need to change this one. You can use support, or anything you want to use here. It will be picked up by that domain. And then the other place to change the domain is here. Just need to identify the 4 places. The other one is here. One more place. There you go. You copy that. So our domain is added. So remember to always save. The next step that I've noted here is we are done with this. And then you go to Putty, you run this command. Let me restart this. Let me close and restart. You run this command. And then in case you've experienced any errors, if you see this error or this error, these are the commands to run. So for now, we are going to generate the DKIM. The DKIM is part of email security. It proves ownership of the sender domain. So you're going to run these commands in Putty. So here you go. The other one is ls. Then you copy this command. Then you copy this command as well. All right. Now, if you come to our config, to our etc PMTA and refresh, you're going to realize that we already have the public DKIM and the private DKIM. So let me reconnect again. All right, private DKIM and public DKIM. So our core, the private DKIM, you retain it here. The public DKIM, you copy it in your DNS record. So I'm gonna copy this. Go to Namecheap. There is a format that you're supposed to use for the DKIM. So, and this is the format. You should start with these letters here, as you can see them, and then I'm gonna remove this part and copy my new one. Again, you should always check there are no gaps. There are usually, from my experience, every time I copy, there are usually 3 gaps. So this is the first one. Ensure there are no gaps so that it is picked well. Then remove that one. This one you have to check manually. If you miss, your DKIM will be incorrect. There you go. And always remember to save. The other record is the DMARC. This is how you put the DMARC. Again, this is for identification purposes. The other one is SPF. So for the SPF, all I need to do is change this IP here and use the IP that we acquired from email belt. These are the format of how the IP should look like. I'll also share this document with you for your reference and for you to run the commands. So we come to Namecheap. Save that. Always remember to save. There are usually 5 records: SPF, DMARC, DKIM, MX, and A record. So we have done SPF, we have DMARC, we have DKIM, we already have MX records. MX record is if there is a reply, where will your email go? That is the MX record. So in this case, I've defined MX record as where the email will go. It will be happening in Zoho because you can easily, it's user friendly for that matter. So I've also done a video on how to get an inbox, let me call it an inbox place in Zoho. I'll also share a link to that effect. So I need to change these records and have them as A records and then save all changes. All right, there you go. So if we come back to our Putty, let's see what we have said in our document. So we have added all the records and that is the end of the process. So what is remaining is we need to check whether we have done the correct installation. So I'm going to restart my Putty, copy the IP, open, root, and then login 100 or whatever the credentials that you're using. And then you run this command service PMTA restart. There you go. Our PowerMTA is well configured. If you see failed, it means that you have not configured your PowerMTA correctly. So the other thing is to check, even though you have configured correctly, are the records in place? You should have a tester. So we are going to use SMTP, do our testing, and then mail tester. So this is a site to test your whether you have a 10 out of 10 score with your SMTP installation. So I'm going to copy this, bring it here. Then I'm going to come and pick any address that is associated with the domain we have used to configure. It should comfortably send. It can be used as a sender domain. So in my case, I'm going to use the sender I've used to configure. Used to configure. So I'm going to put in the password of the VPS, or not the VPS, the password of the SMTP server. And where do you get the password of the SMTP server? If you come to the config file and you scroll up, here you go. This is where you get the credentials of the SMTP server. So if you go to etc PMTA config file, you open it, you'll see SMTP user and password. So these are the credentials in my context that I am using. And then for the port, as you may have seen, if you scroll up, I'm using port 587. That is the listener. So here, 587, and then you're going to use the host. The host, if you have added the reverse DNS, that is in your VPS, you have added the reverse DNS. That is when you can use the host as the domain. But in our case, we can comfortably use the IP address. It will still serve the purpose. So you copy the IP address there, and then you click on send. If there is any error, it's going to say message failed, but in our case, you've seen the message has been delivered, mail successfully sent. So it means our SMTP is correctly configured. So you come here and then you check your score. 10 out of 10. So that is how you check your score, and then you ensure that your SMTP is correctly configured. Just to confirm, that is how you go about it. So that is how you set up PowerMTA. Now you can use these credentials in any mailer of your choice. You can use in Rubedo, or you can use in any mailer that you want to run your campaign. We have Rubedo as the favorite. You can use Mailwizz, you can use Mautic. This SMTP is dynamic and can be used in any mailer. So that is it about setting up an SMTP. In case of any query, you can always reach us out. We're going to share all the items that we have said in the description. Thank you and bye for now. Do catch us up in our next series of setting up a custom email marketing system. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and see you on the next one. Bye.